Right here, Greg finished with no sugar. There's a good reason, okay? If you forget everything we've said, remember this right here. Sugar is your enemy, period. Sugar and anything that your body turns into sugar, right? So when I say anything that it turns into sugar, immediately you need to be thinking high carbohydrate processed foods, right? Because when you take them in, the carbohydrates are so gigantic in this processed stuff, your body cannot do anything except turn it into sugar to try to make energy, right? You couldn't possibly use all that energy, and it does one thing with it: it stores it to body fat. All right, so sugar is the key. So the whole kit and caboodle. So I'm gonna give you a little science. This is what my note says. This is a little science, just like that. We don't get too sciencey, right? So because we try to put this together so I could line up my 11-year-old and his buddies, and I could pitch it to them, and they would kind of get it. So that's where we're going to go. All right. So blood sugar. So when we say sugar is the enemy, right? This all comes down to controlling your blood sugar levels. All right. Now, assuming you're someone that doesn't have type 1 diabetes, this should fit you. If you do, then you're a special circumstance, you know, and that's for a whole other conversation. But controlling your blood sugar levels. Here comes the beautiful drawing, right? So I'm going to do morning. Let's go lunch. And we'll go dinner. All right. So blood sugar level. I'm going to say blood sugar level. No, Becca, that's blood sugar, not something else. I already know what you mean. All right. And then I'm going to write typical. Okay, so I'm going to give you lines to what your blood sugar does, right? So I've been asleep all night, and so what's the first meal of the day? Breakfast, right? So half of that word breakfast is fast. So I've been asleep, I've been fasting, right? No nutrition. So my blood sugar, as it should be, is low. So when I wake up and I get moving, what's the first urge after I go to the restroom? What's the first urge I have?
Coffee.
Coffee. I can get it in there, right? But it's to get in some nutrition, all right? So as we're talking about coffee, that should be black coffee. That could be bulletproof coffee, which is coconut oil, whole butter, that type of thing, whatever works for you. What I do with my coffee, you know, Greg does his thing with all black. I actually do about a tablespoon of coconut oil in mine every day. All right, that's what I do. It does make a little bit of an oily film on top, but it tastes fantastic to me. And my goal there too is it gets me a healthy fat in right away. About 14 grams in a tablespoon, so it's a bunch. And that's what I want, right? So I wake up here, blood sugar is low. I want to eat, all right? I'm going to eat. So let's talk about what the typical person might do. Whether it's a bagel, cold cereal, what's another one of those type options? Anybody? Oatmeal. Oh man, I'm glad you said that, because oatmeal's healthy, right? It's oats, because oats and all that. No, right? Because here's what it does. We can all agree those are high carbohydrate foods, right? There's little fat in them, there's little protein in them, or none. And so what happens is our blood sugar takes all those carbohydrates in, and the blood sugar goes up. Okay? Now, as it goes up, there's another player in the game here. Anybody know what the other player is? Insulin, right? Insulin's got a lot of cool jobs, a lot of really good jobs. But one of its primary jobs is it keeps an eye on blood sugar. That's what it does. Because insulin doesn't like for blood sugar to be up here high. So what happens is, after a pretty short period of time, insulin says, oh, you've been up here for a pretty good while, and insulin comes in like a big hammer. Let's say it happens right about here, about an hour and a half later. Insulin comes in, boom, knocks it down. All right? So what happens right here? I'm at the office. It's about 9:30, something like that. I'm headed to the vending machine. Right? I mean, that's what most of us are doing. I work in an office somewhere, so I'm headed to the vending machine. All right? What that looks like is some crackers.
Bugles.
Oh, yeah, bugles. Those are amazing. Bugles. I got to write those up there. Those salty, delicious treats. All right, and I'm also going to have a soda right there. This is what we do. This is what we do. That's about 41 grams of sugar right there. 35 if you're lucky. Anybody guess how many you need in a day? Grams of sugar? About 35 for an entire day. You just took it in that one soda right there. You are behind the curve, right? So this was my snack. So guess what happens right here? Carb, sugar. Anybody got a good guess? I know you know. Blood sugar comes up. Okay? I'm getting to the fantastic part here in a second. All right? So now, blood sugar goes up. Insulin comes in. Boom. I'm back down, and now it's lunchtime. I am freaking starving. Right? So back when I was a guy that wore around this inner tube, because I had mine, built by Budweiser. True story. I was out in the business world, had a nice suit on, you know, I went out, I did business, but I'm gonna tell you what I did right here. I went to the Chinese buffet. Right? That's true, man. I love it. I love it. Chinese buffet. And guess what happens? Anybody know what's in that? Right? Whether it's pork, it's sweet and sour, it's got all that breading on the outside. Gosh. Huh? Oh yeah, meow. Whoop, whoop. I love it. Eat it up. Eat it up. So here we go again. Right? That really doesn't last long. It's kind of the same thing with a lot of Mexican foods too. Right? You eat it, it's amazing. I love it. You leave like an hour and a half later, you're like, I'm starving. Is that true or not? It's true. Right? Well, there's a reason. That's your body sending these signals to you that, hey, I've used all that up. Here comes Mr. Insulin. Boom. I'm starving. I'm hungry. Right? So what else can I have for a snack that fits into this world? Snickers. Now you're talking dirty to me. I like it. Snickers. That was my choice right there. I love it. I love it. So here we go. Right? Back at it, and I'm cutting to the chase, right? Because I know y'all see what's going on. So I sat in traffic, head on 65 South. Right? It's 6 o'clock. I get home. The family's waiting on me, and they're like, Dad, we're hungry. I'm like, or they called me. They called, Dad, we're hungry. It's 6 o'clock. Hey, I got you. Little Caesars. Right? Little C, that's a C, right? So, here's what all this means. Good gracious, it looks like a 5th grade druid, doesn't it? Worse even. But here's what all this means. The end statement for all of this. Because you look at it, okay, it's going up and down, up and down. It's not really that big a deal. Here's why it's a big deal. There's something called hypoinsulinemia. Okay? And you, simply put, here's what that means. Eventually, insulin will give up. Right? Basically, that's what happens. If you want to get technical about it, you become insulin resistant. Okay? Even if insulin does show up, your blood sugar just says, nah. And what winds up happening is instead of this up and down spike, is we go up and we stay up. Right? And your body does one thing. Everyone alive does one thing when blood sugar runs high up here. That is store body fat every time. All the time. Right? So our goal has to be to avoid these kinds of foods, these high carbohydrate, processed foods, if you want to call them that. We don't even refer to those as food because they're made in a laboratory. Food is dead flesh and plants and seeds and fruits. Alright? So, we're going to try this again. We're going to try it our way. And listen, I know this is unscientific the way I'm drawing this, but I'm telling you right now, this is how it works. Right? So, we'll do this again. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Right? So I woke up, blood sugar's low. I have
meat candy.
Meat candy, also known as bacon. Right? Bacon and eggs. Right? So, let me see where we're going to be at. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I eat. Some of y'all already know what I eat every day, right? So let's say it's bacon and eggs. Good example. So, bacon and eggs, that gets the blood sugar going, right? But it's going to be right about here. And we're going to operate about right here. This is going to be snack time. Now for me, I can tell you, I'm on such a system, I can tell you the time of the day all of this takes place. Right here for me, this is 10 a.m. Breakfast took place at 7 a.m. Right? Now I rise most days at 4:30 a.m. and right in here is coffee time with some fats in my coffee. Right? I see that face on them, yes, every day. Yeah, it's a lot of video watching to learn to be a coach and all that stuff. We don't just show up knowing this stuff, right? So 4:30, 7 a.m., 10 a.m., it's snack time. Let me show you what really happens, right? So it gradually goes down and I can feel the hunger coming. So for me, my go-to most of the time is going to be something like an apple. Now I eat a little bigger snack maybe than most people do. Because I got an activity level that just requires it. And I do 2 hands full of almonds. It's some kind of nut almost all the time. I'm a nut eater, right?
Those almonds salted.
No, I eat salt. Spices are on the table. Spices are definitely on the table. I'm all about salt. I'm good to go with salt. Some of y'all just wanted to pull your hair out. You don't believe me, right? So now my blood sugar's headed back up. After a little while, after my snack, now I get to lunch and gradually we're coming down to here. Sometimes folks that just start eating a nutrition plan like this will not be hungry here at all. If that's you, if this is your first diving into natural food eating during this 30-day paleo challenge, you need to make yourself eat something, okay? But for me, what that's going to look like is a big, I'm stealing this term from somebody, I'm going to say big A salad. We'll talk about the source. He uses a different word, you can guess. Big A salad, for me, with either a large chicken breast or sometimes 2. Right? That's my lunch. For me, I get quite a bit in right here, a lot of food. Okay? Blood sugar goes up. 2:30, I'm headed down, and it's snack time. I have almost the same identical snack the second go round. Right? Depending on what my activity level is for that day, where I gotta be, there may be something different squeezing in. But more or less it looks just like that one. Again, eating the same stuff most days. Headed back up for dinner. If you're eating at my house, it's usually some kind of, I love saying this, dead flesh on the grill, right? So we're cooking some kind of animal. Yesterday and the day before for us, we had a grass-fed roast, right? So Hazel hooked us up with a source for some grass-fed meat. We've had that in the freezer and just sporadically pull out what we need. So we had a grass-fed roast, and we had broiled broccoli, which is tossed in olive oil. So something like that's going to be our dinner. We do a lot of chicken and broccoli. We do a lot of sweet potatoes at my house too. So plug in any kind of healthy meat like that, and that's what dinner looks like for us. Right? But the point is, and we'll talk more about what we're eating, etc. But the point here is this blood sugar level should be a lot more wavy than spiky. Let's talk about the macronutrients. There are 3 of them. There's protein, carbohydrates, and fats. You need some of all of them. When I started eating this way, what I tried to do was get them in to every single meal. You may not do that. And these days I actually don't do that. As a matter of fact, at breakfast time I don't typically get all of them in. Protein, muscle builder. Gotta have it. So some foods that are in the protein world. All your meats. Fish, chicken, beef, all of them. So meats. Greg, I'm going to kind of go a little faster right here. All right. Carbohydrates. This is where we get a lot of our energy. So we just dogged out all the carbohydrates a little bit ago, right? When we talked about the insulin thing and all the high processed. This is absolutely key, guys. I mean, when we start talking about controlling blood sugar levels, this guy right here is so crucial. Is carbohydrate. You still need them. You just got to look for the source. That's the key part, is where are you getting them from? All right, can anybody fire out something?
Fruit, vegetables.
Fruit and veggies. Veggies, that's huge right there. So, Greg's going to talk in a little bit about grains. I know some of y'all that have been on the Facebook page for the Paleo Challenge, that question came up. Did everybody see that? Where somebody was like, hey, I thought grains were healthy. You're going to find out here in just a little bit. It's one of the biggest lies ever perpetuated on the American public. That's nasty, wasn't it? I mean it. It is.
You've been on a roll with that.
I'm telling you, buddy, I've been on fire. You saw the Facebook post, right? Yeah. All right. So veggies. So back to grains. The reason I thought of that, people said, well, yeah, but you need the fiber. You don't need that fiber. You're going to get everything you need to get everything moving. You know what I'm saying? In the veggies, right? And they can come in all sorts of forms. Ashley mentioned kale. You know, kale is a dynamite food. Broccoli, a dynamite food. Spinach. I like spinach. When I make my own salads, I usually go for spinach instead of lettuce. Because store-bought lettuce is just kind of white, and you know, the deeper the green, the better. So you're going to get most of your carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables. All right? Now, if you're someone of a very high activity level, a marathoner, a 3-time a week, 4-time a week, 5-time a week CrossFitter, you're kind of getting in that category of special circumstances, and you may need to ramp it up, like Greg was saying earlier. That may be, you have earned your carbs, all right? And as long as you're someone who not necessarily is after shedding body weight, if you need to shed some body weight, you may go a little easier here, but if you're not, then you may turn it up right here, all right? I can tell you for me, because of my activity level, I have to be really careful that I get enough of this in. This is a little tough for me sometimes to operate only on fruits and veggies. So I have to look for some ulterior ways to get these in. Talking about fats, right? This is probably the biggest lie ever perpetuated on the American public, right? Grains are here too. All right. That fat will make you fat. I think we got an entire section just for that. Yeah, that's coming up next, right? Why do you need fats? Fats, think about it like this. If the right kind of sugars and the right kind of carbohydrates are your energy source that'll kind of give you that quick, I'm ready to go now, look at fats as the steady, slow tortoise of the race for energy. This is an energy producer. Again, you got to get it from the right source. So you can buy a processed food that's made in a laboratory that has fat in it. That's not where you want it from. You want healthy fats from animals. So animal fats, hold on, AKA bacon. We make a lot of jokes about bacon. I eat a lot of bacon. But animal fats from things like bacon, lard, those are good. Olive oil. Anybody know why almonds are considered a superfood or super healthy for you? They got a lot of fat in them. It's the right kind of fat.